Hi, welcome to Relish Books. Today I'm talking about Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. So it's been a while since I made a video. I don't know about for other readers, but for me, I feel like if I'm not in a phase of reading, like I have to have a reading habit where I'm reading pretty much every day. And if that gets disrupted somehow, like for me, I was sick for a couple of months and I completely lost my reading habits. And when that happens for me, it's very hard for me to get back into a habit of reading. Especially if I've like already started some books, it's so hard to like go back to them after a break. I don't know what it is. I love reading, but yeah, if that habit gets broken, it's really hard to get back into it. So, something that I like to do that usually works pretty well for me is no matter how many books I have started that I feel like I need to finish or whatever, I go to the library and I get something new and I get something short. And that way I just like read it really fast, straight through, and then you have the sense of accomplishment of reading and finishing a book. But it's easy because it's like short, and hopefully it's a book that you like, so that then it also gets you excited about reading again and helps you to get back into the habit and the pattern. And for me, it was Cannery Row. I've been wanting to read another Steinbeck. East of Eden is intimidating. That's kind of the next big one on my list, but it's a big book. And I really like Grapes of Wrath, but it took me a long time to get through. That was a difficult read for me. So I chose Cannery Row because it's short. I wanted to read Tortilla Flat, but the library didn't have it. I don't know if it was just checked out or if they don't have it at all. But I didn't know anything about this book, and I really enjoyed it. I love so much about John Steinbeck. I never thought I'd be like a big John Steinbeck fan. I don't know why. Maybe because he's kind of known as being like a depressing author. Stuff he writes is usually pretty dark. But I think I am really becoming a big fan of his, partly because I have liked his work, but also because every new book of his that I read is so different. He is an author who's like a big classic author, but each of his books, there are certainly traces of his style, his excellent quality of writing, some of his descriptions, things like that, mark him. But other than that, it genuinely feels like the style and tone of each book is totally different. He can actually adapt his style, his method of writing, his pacing, his level of bluntness to poetry, totally depending on the way that he wants his story to feel. The difference between the tone and style of Mice and Men and The Grapes of Wrath is stunning. They are complete opposites. A lot of great authors whose work that I love is still like every book, it's the exact same style. Charles Dickens, all his different stories, and yet the different threads of his different stories could totally fit. You could swap them back and forth across his books because every book of his, pretty much, Tale of Two Cities is a little different, but like almost every book of his is in the same literary style. John Steinbeck, I think, stands out. His talents stand out because he is such a master of writing that he can not only change the story that he's telling, like he can tell very different stories in his different books, but he can also adapt his tone and writing style to fit those stories, which I think is incredible, and I really admire that. Cannery Row also just appeals to me personally. It's the kind of book that I love to read. It's basically, it's almost like a series of portraits, a series of short stories, just glimpses into life in this place, in Monterey, California, on the coast there. There's like a row of canneries, and it's this broken down town of broken down people and just snapshots of their lives. And it feels like his whole purpose is to give, to shed light and dignity and humanity on these very kind of at the end of the road in life kinds of people. And he's really, I feel like his tone is really glorifying these people, which I think is kind of I think that's a complex thought. I feel like some of what he's trying to say with this story I don't fully agree with. The way that he, I love that he brings humanity to these people, that he brings a sort of dignity to these people. I love that. Some of what it feels like he's trying to say, might have a little bit of a problem with. It feels like he's almost trying to say that these people are more honest, and in some ways I think that can be true. It almost feels like he's trying to blacken like respectability, or not respectability, but like the respectable people who look down on these people. I think he's kind of poking at them, which I don't have a problem with that. You should look at these people with dignity and humanity and kindness and compassion, but I think in some ways he's almost saying like these people are better and their way of life is more honest and genuine than other people, if that makes sense. That's the tone that I'm getting from the story, and I'm a little bit like, well, there's beauty in their lives and there's wonders in their lives, but they're also brokenhearted because of the way they're living. It's not just they're these brokenhearted people and they're living this way. Because of that, the two things go together, I think. For anyone who hasn't read it, this probably just sounds like a lot of rambling, but that's like the problem that I have with the book a little bit. It does feel like he's magnifying and glorifying some dark sides of life a little much, but at the same time I really appreciate the character work that he does with these people. They feel real. You care about them. There's beautiful stories, there's fun stories, there's tragic stories, the stories of the little boy who comes and works with the he's like a biologist, a marine biologist in the town. Those stories are heartbreaking. The story where the boys try to give a party for the doctor is heartbreaking. So there's a lot in this. I love, again, that type of story, a little bit like Dandelion Wine, those types where the author takes an entire community and in a series of, again, what almost feels like snapshots or still lifes, just these little pictures in the lives of all these different people that come together and are tied together just because of the place, just because of the community. And there's a lot of depth in those stories, even the funny ones. There's a lot of just human life coming through in a really amazing way. And the variety of the stories, so many different things that all somehow work together in a great way. I love the book. Again, it's definitely got some kind of adult material, some dark things, but I think it's very much worth the read. And again, just brings out yet another of the different styles of John Steinbeck. So I'm excited. This book makes me even more excited to read more of his work. He's a really incredible author. So those are some of my thoughts on Cannery Row. Let me know what your favorite John Steinbeck is, what I should read next, And yeah, have a happy new year. I will see you next time. Bye.